Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our monthly Work Camping Q&A webinar with Workamper News. I'm looking forward to answering all your questions about work camping and RVing. Thank you to those who are online on the live webinar with us. And just a couple housekeeping things for those of you who are live. Now, I have a PowerPoint presentation that I have for you guys, just showing the different questions that were submitted. And you'll also have my video here, talking face, for you to look at. If you're on a smartphone or tablet, you can swipe on your screen to go in between my video here and the PowerPoint slides. Now, we did have a lot of questions submitted ahead of time. So that's probably going to take up most of the time here, just answering those questions. But if you do have some input or additional questions you'd like to throw out, feel free to type those in. If you're on a laptop, desktop, you should have a control panel on your screen with a little chat or questions section. Again, if you're smartphone or tablet, you should have that questions option at the bottom of your screen that you can tap on. So go ahead and type that in there. We are recording this webinar, so later today I will get this put online and we'll get an email out to everyone who registered with a link to watch the Q&A webinar. So again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us for this monthly Work Camping Q&A. I'm Jody Anderson-Duquette with Workamper News, and if you're not familiar with Workamper News, we created the term work camping back in 1987. And since then, we have been helping work campers find great opportunities all around the United States. And the opportunities are really varying. A lot of people just consider work camping to be working in a campground. But as we've grown this community, we've seen tons of other business types coming in, and including work campers as part of their staffing. So we'll talk more about that as we go along. But Workamper.com is our online home. If you guys haven't been on our website yet, obviously I encourage you to do so. Since we are the creators of the industry, we have the most resources, the most employers, the most jobs, and just we have a support staff to help you guys. We're the only professional organization solely focused on the work camping lifestyle. So you can give us a call or chat in, email in, etc. We're happy to help you guys. And not only do we have super awesome job finding tools, which we'll take a look at as we're going through just in answering some of your guys' questions. Like I said, job listings, ways to better find the opportunities that are going to be a better match for you for doing some different research. And then, of course, our biggest focus is on education. Because we're the most confident and we find the most success when we know what we're doing. And so we do what we can to provide articles of videos, online courses, webinars like this, our podcast, our blog, etc. We want you guys to understand this lifestyle as best as possible and how to go about making it successful for you. So our passion is for you to live this lifestyle and love it, and make the most of it, continue growing, see this beautiful country, etc. So that's our focus. I myself have been helping work campers and employers now since 2006, so it's been a while. Workamper News is actually my family's business. My husband works here too. We have 3 other gals that work here. But my husband and I, we've been RVers for about 12 or 13 years now. So we've done fifth wheel, we've done Class C, we've done travel trailer, we've been full-time RVers, part-time RVers. So we're very experienced in living this lifestyle as well. So hopefully I'm going to give you guys a lot of good answers to your questions. Like I said, we had about 18 or so questions submitted ahead of time. So I'm easily going to take an hour or more to probably answer all of these questions. But if you are watching the recording of this, if you guys go down to the description of the video, I'm going to lay out each question and the timestamp for that so you can more quickly jump to the questions that you want to hear the answers to. So check that out in the description below. So, all right, I think that's everything I wanted to cover ahead of time. So let's go ahead and dive into your guys' questions. Again, you all submitted these questions. I tried to kind of categorize them so we won't jump around too crazy. We'll kind of try and stay focused on our topics here. But let's start off with this question here. I'm a solo female senior, now only interested in part-time hours. What positions might offer this option? There's going to be a lot of options in this realm. Again, work camping is doing any kind of part-time or full-time work while living in an RV. And it's that wide of a description, and it's that, you know, minimal of a description. So there are certainly a lot of opportunities here. If you are looking at, you know, more so like commercial campgrounds, they're probably going to be more so looking for full-time hours, places like that. If you are looking for a position that pays for every hour worked and provides an RV site and some other, you know, perks and bonuses, etc., that's probably going to be 32 or more hours a week work. If you budget-wise are able to take opportunities where you're just working so many hours a week in trade for an RV site, that's going to open up the door for you to more of those part-time positions. So when working in trade for a campsite, you're going to more so see that at like state parks, county parks, Corps of Engineer, parks and rec areas. Other organizations would be like nonprofit organizations, maybe it's a children's camp, an animal sanctuary, a nature preserve, positions maybe with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, or different states wildlife services like Oregon Fish and Wildlife. They have a lot of fish hatcheries around their state, and they have work campers that are like kind of the on-site, you know, eyes on the ground kind of people. That's going to be more of a part-time volunteer for site positions, working at lighthouses, being a docent, or maybe like museums. The CCC, conservation, I forget the acronym, sorry, but those types of places, historical societies, like there's the Panhandle Pioneer Settlement, I think it's in Florida. And work campers get to like dress up in cool, like old-timey garb and show, I don't know, school kids and stuff, like how to, you know, use a loom and churn butter and I don't know, cool stuff like that. So yeah, lots of different stuff in like the volunteer realm. And that's certainly going to be more in the part-time hour vicinity. There may be some opportunities for part-time at more like kind of busier commercial operations, like we said, like campgrounds, amusement parks, retail centers, like the retail shops, like in and around national parks and stuff. Oftentimes they're still going to want people for more like 32 hours a week though. So you're probably kind of excluded from those kinds of places. But there are tour companies. Some tour companies may have more flexible schedules. You may want to consider doing, there's a couple entities that okay, when you guys go to a campground, you know, and you check in and you get your campground map, and then there's like ads on the map for local businesses and stuff in town. So there are companies, one is AGS, the other Southeast Publications, and they are the companies that put together those maps. And so you as the work camper go to a campground and stay there, and then you go around to the local businesses and say, hey, do you want to buy these advertising packages? We'll put you in a campground map and all this other stuff. And so that's really more of a kind of make your own hours, you know, working for commissions, etc. So that will give you a little bit more of a flexible schedule. And that would be good too for people who like to maybe move around a little bit more and don't want to take a position that's so stationary for a longer period of time. So yeah, oh, and one other thing I wanted to mention with this question, I'm going to kind of go between my PowerPoint and an internet browser. So bear with me, guys, as I kind of bounce back and forth between these two resources. Okay, so first page up, this is our home page when a member has logged in at workamper.com, but that's not actually what I wanted to show you guys first. I wanted to go to our podcast website. So since 2019, so multiple years now, we've been producing the Workamper Show podcast. It's a weekly podcast. New episodes come out on Tuesdays. And we're either interviewing work campers who are living the lifestyle, or whether they've been doing it for years or maybe just getting started. But we also interview employers that hire work campers. And then some other RV lifestyle experts like Sean and Susie Adams, which we'll actually talk about later with the domicile question. Anyway, but in here fairly recently, for our 200th episode, myself and my husband Luke, we went over 200 different work camping jobs. And that didn't even like cover all of them. Like we could have kept going, but it was already getting so long. So anyway, so definitely check out this podcast episode. You can listen to it here on our website if you want to. Just hit play and it'll start playing for you. Or if you like listening to podcasts in, an app like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, whatever, just do a search for the Workamper Show and you'll find our podcast. You can subscribe and listen to all the old episodes, get notifications of new episodes, etc. Our podcast is totally free. It's not filled with ads. Greg, he's our host. He might say something at the beginning and something at the end, but we don't do commercial breaks and that kind of stuff. So totally free and helpful content for you guys to check out. So I definitely encourage, especially those of you who are new to Workamping and still trying to kind of figure out what it all is, definitely listen to this podcast. I think you'll be surprised at just the big variety of opportunities that are out there. Okay, all right, let's pop back to the PowerPoint here and we'll go ahead and move on to the next question. All right, so hopefully that answered our question for her. Okay, can you talk about remote jobs more specifically, and then especially connectivity for people who roam like T-Mobile, Starlink, and other options? Okay, so more specifically in the Workamping world, there's not a lot of businesses that advertise for remote workers. Businesses that advertise for remote workers don't need to go after Workampers specifically because anybody could do those jobs anywhere. So businesses like that are going to use like the big sites like Indeed, Flex Jobs, like remote.io. Like there are websites now for finding remote work jobs. And so companies are using those websites because they're big behemoths and have all the good, Google juice and all that stuff. So in the Workamping realm, there's a handful of employers, like CoachNet has advertised with us. There's RV Realtor, which is like a real estate business, but they buy and sell RVs for people. So there's a couple entities like that do advertise specifically to Workampers because their business is in the RV industry anyway. You'll see that occasionally coming in the Workamping job streams, but not very often, very rarely. They've been on our hotline and I think in our magazine a little bit, but if you are a member of ours, I encourage you to, as you're watching the hotline or maybe you're looking at past issues of our jobs magazine, be sure to look at that multiple locations section because we always organize our jobs by state. And so multiple locations is just another state section technically. And so positions that either you get to move around to do the job, or the jobs are in more than one state, or it's a not location dependent position, that's going to be in that multiple locations section. And right now we are working on a complete revamp of workamper.com and our member portal. So when that comes out, we are specifically going to have an option that is remote. So you'll be able to specifically search for remote jobs. But again, you're not going to find a lot of those in kind of the Workamping community streams and stuff like that, at least not yet. As far as connection goes, let me pop back over to the browser. Okay, I wanted to show you guys this website. Where'd you go, mouse? Okay, this is rvmobileinternet.com, rvmobileinternet.com. You ask 10 people what the best internet connection on the road is, you're probably going to get 10 different answers. And it really just depends on what you're wanting to do, needing to do, etc. If you need something high speed because your job is internet based, XXX might be best. If you're just wanting to stream sometimes, that might be okay. Or if you're like, I really just check email and Facebook, then might be best for you. My husband and I personally, we've traveled all around the US, gone up to Alaska, Canada, and back. We've always been okay just using our cell phones as hotspots, and we have a decent data plan with our cellular carrier. We run around with AT&T, and there's been a few places that we ended up where we had no connection or too slow of a connection, but for the most part, it really did pretty well. I was able to even host some webinars and stuff like that, moving around. So oftentimes, maybe cellular data might be good enough. Depending upon the job, you might need something more high speed or secure. Starlink is new. It is very popular with our RVers. I've heard that it's good but expensive, but you know, that's all relative. So I encourage you to dig into the Mobile Internet Resource Center here. They're going to talk about all the different gear that's available and different types of connections, etc. So that way you can kind of piece together what's going to be best for you. So that's what I would recommend there. Okay. Back to the PowerPoint we go. Okay, and we had a question submitted in a tour company you listed was AGS. What was the second one? Okay, so when I was talking about tour companies I meant as like in the Northeast, up in Maine, there's especially in the Acadia area, there's a couple tour companies where they do kayak tours, where you know customers come and they rent kayaks and they kayak around and you know bring the kayaks back. Or there's like bicycle rentals, scooter rentals. So that's like, to me, that's a tour company. Another tour company is Pink Jeep Tours in Tennessee. So they have people come in and they load them into Jeeps and then drive them around in the Smoky Mountains. That's a tour company. In Glacier National Park, if y'all have ever been up there, they have their famous red buses. I believe it's still Xanterra. Xanterra operates as a concessionaire in the national park, and they run those tour buses. So they hire folks to drive the tour bus and talk to the people that are in the tour bus at the same time. So to me, those are tour companies. When I was talking about AGS and Southeast Publications, those are two entities that are, it's essentially like advertising and publishing. So the Workampers work as a salesperson for AGS or Southeast Publications. Both of those employers are featured employers with us. If you go to workamper.com/F as in featured, E as in employer, FE, you'll see our list of featured employers, and you can learn more about AGS and Southeast Publications on their pages that they have in there. So, all right, little clarification there. Okay, next up, get a little water here. Okay, these folks are, not these folks in the picture, but just these folks in general. Oh, I forgot. Let me back up. That picture made me remember. Okay, sorry. We got to go back to the browser because I want to give you guys one more resource. If you are looking for remote positions, like I said, there's those big, you know, you can Google remote work positions and find, you know, the websites where the jobs are listed at. Anyway, this is a website, liveworkdream.com. It's created by Jim Nelson and Renee Agredano, long time work campers, super awesome folks. They have written a book called Income Anywhere, really great book. You can get a physical copy, online copy, but they talk about making money on the road, and they've lived it, tried and true. But they have a section specifically on remote employment, talking about the job search platforms, hiring remote employees, help you find the right work from home job, etc. So this would be a good resource for you to check out as well, if that's, you know, really the route you want to go down for your work camping lifestyle. Okay, sorry, almost forgot that. I'm glad I remembered. Okay, we'll really move on to the next one now, I promise. Okay, we are looking for more non-traditional gigs that are short-term, like 2 to 6 weeks. How do we find those? Workamper.com is where you can find those types of jobs. There are less opportunities that are that short in length, but they are out there. If you listen to that podcast episode I mentioned, the 200 different types of jobs, that would be a good one to, you know, familiarize yourself with the different stuff that's out there. But some of the shorter non-traditional gigs are the sugar beet harvest. That takes place in September, October timeframe. Minnesota, North Dakota, Montana, Michigan, a little bit in Wyoming and Idaho as well. So multiple employers hire for the sugar beet harvest, but Express Employment Professionals is the biggest one. So that's more of a shorter term gig and a well-paying gig that a lot of people like to do. Another one would be putting up Christmas lights and taking them down after the holiday is over. There's some companies that do that. There's one out of, I think it's Knoxville, Tennessee specifically. Christmas Decor of Knoxville, I think. They've advertised for work campers in the past and bring in work campers, oops, sorry guys, to do the work for them. So That would be a shorter time frame. You can either work before Christmas or after Christmas or both. Let's see, Aramark operates the concession stands at certain events like spring training in Arizona at the baseball stadiums. I think they do the Houston Rodeo, some Final Four events for basketball at, coliseums, those big event centers, etc. So those are going to be some more short-term opportunities because you're just working concessions like for those events. There are some festivals, Albuquerque Hot Air Balloon Festival looks for volunteers. You might also, some of the bigger RV shows, the Tampa RV show, Portside RV show, they could, use volunteers to work on their staff parking RVs and parking cars, etc. So that could be a short-term gig. Some other festivals, there's some Texas Renaissance festivals that look for work campers. I think there used to be a strawberry festival in Florida. I remember an ad for one time. So there's definitely some short ones like that. I also one time saw one of the Colorado state parks. I don't know if they were just really trying something new, but their ad was, work as little as 4 days or as long as 4 months or something like that. So they were willing to take volunteers on a very short-term basis. 4 days is a pretty short work camping job. But that would have been a volunteer position, just working in trade for site. Let's see. All right, that's all that's coming to my brain at this point as far as short term. But you just want to be watching our hotline. Okay, let me show you guys that real quick here, because maybe those of you who are listening aren't members of our website yet, and that's okay. When you do join Workamper, we do have a free trial, you guys, and it's no risk. Like, even if you become a yearly member and you're like, Workamping is really not for me, or, oh, I didn't really want this membership, like, just let us know. We'll give you a refund. It's not a big deal. So no risk joining our site, guys. So you go to workamper.com, click on join. You can do the free 30-day trial, start off at our diamond level, access all the good stuff. So please do that if you haven't yet already. Okay, so I'm logged into our website. I'm actually at the platinum level, but you only need the platinum level if you're an experienced Workamper, you have some jobs under your belt. We'll talk more about that when we get into resumes. But here at workamper.com, I'm logged in, I'm on my dashboard. So our two main job looking at avenues is our hotline job system and our online magazine. And so on the hotline page, the job listings that you see were posted within the last 14 days. So you guys can always trust that these are like the most recent opportunities. We don't keep stuff around for years and years. We're constantly working on and updating and doing stuff on our website. We also look at and process every single ad coming through. We're not just an open to the world site that any employer or spammer can post an ad to try and steal Workampers identities and stuff. So just be cautious on those free sites, you guys. You never know who's lurking. We've had spammers try to get to our system. So if they're getting into our system, which is a paid for system, they're on the free ones. So, okay. So here on the hotline jobs page, you can do a bunch of different searches. You can search on location or state. You can search for jobs where an RV site is provided. If you don't have an RV, you're looking for other housing, you can search for housing. If you need all hours paid, if you're like, I just want a little bit of compensation, I don't need all hours paid. Or if you're just looking to work and trade for site, you can search for that. You can search for job start date. I don't know that we're going to incorporate any kind of like duration search time frame because there's so many variables and factors. It would be harder to do that. We might be able to work it out logistically at some point, but we haven't yet. So sorry. But you can search at least when the job starts, because y'all know, like, oh, all right, I'm available to start in November or October or January or whatever. So you can at least search on the start date. Then also solos. If you're solo, you can just look at jobs where the employer will consider solos. So you can narrow those down pretty quick. And there's also keywords. So if you are looking for part-time, you can try searching for part-time or short-term or something like that. So there is some capabilities there with doing some keyword searches and stuff. So that's our hotline jobs page. We also provide, some good data here with every ad. You're always going to know like what state or location it is, and this kind of information. So it is pretty helpful. We also have to view Workamper experiences postings. So this is a review system. So when our members have completed a Workamping job, they can go into Workamper experiences and say, I worked for XYZ employer, and this is how it went, whether it was good or in between or terrible. So you can basically read reviews on employers right from our hotline ads. So that can be helpful. And hopefully as a member, you will be contributing and putting in reviews of the jobs that you've done. So, all right, our other main avenue, this is our online magazine. We published a magazine. That's how Workamper News got started, because it started pre-internet. It was just a mailed newsletter that morphed into a magazine. We did decide to discontinue the magazine. Like I said, we're completely redoing our website and changing up quite a bit about how we're offering you guys these tools to streamline and simplify. So having two main job listing avenues was confusing, so we're narrowing it down and putting our focus on the hotline. But this online magazine archive has 100 issues in it. Each issue has job listings organized by state. And we have employer members that have been with us for 25 years or more. So there are Workamper employers who continuously hire Workampers all the time. They totally understand Workampers, and even if they're not currently advertising right now, if you guys see a job listing, whether it was last year or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, get a hold of them. If you're like, hey, I saw that you advertised blah, 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 blah. That sounds perfect for me. Are you looking for Workampers anytime in the near future? Great, let's talk, you know. So I definitely encourage you to look through issues of the magazine for job listings and just for articles and other helpful resources for you guys. We have another question that, okay, we'll get, sorry. My brain goes, there's so much to tell you guys. Anyway, so these are the two main job finding avenues. I would look through both of these. Whether you're looking for short-term gigs or anytime gigs, this is going to be the best way to connect with advertising employers. If you are looking at the magazine, typically the September, October, November, December, January, February issues, those are going to be more summer season, spring, summer positions. And then the summertime issues are going to be more those fall, winter jobs. So typically in the Workamping realm, there kind of is two main seasons. So it's like April, May through September, October, and then, you know, September, October to April, May. Especially if you're looking at the outdoor hospitality industry, you know, campgrounds and a lot of others that operate in that realm, you are gonna have employers that are looking for you to be there for that whole season as much as you can be. There are certainly employers who are flexible. Maybe they have other holes to fill. So when Workampers are gonna be gone, or they hire students, but the students have to go back to school, whatever, there will be holes to fill. But you're gonna see kind of that seasonality in a lot of the different ads. So, and another question that often gets asked is, when do I need to start applying for these jobs? So employers know that Workampers like to kind of plan ahead. So those of you like, sorry, again, lots to tell you guys. Okay, I would start looking for your Workamping position at minimum 3 months before you want to start the job, but you could easily start 6 months or more, beginning to review job listings, start communicating with employers, updating your resume, sending your resume out, etc. You could easily do that ahead of time. So right now, like we're recording this now, it's the end of January, and so things are really going to ramp up now. So many employers started hiring for the spring, summer season, like last November, December. It's really going to start picking up now, and then the employers that drag their feet, it's really going to get crazy in February and March, and we're just going to see a larger number of ads as we move into March, and those are going to be for positions starting in like April, May, June. So again, kind of give yourself a little bit of time, and if you do just kind of want to go with it, and well, I just want to find something as I go, or start something immediately, there's certainly going to be opportunities. It's just going to kind of narrow the pool. And if you are seeking like a paying job in the winter time, like in the South, that's going to be a little bit harder to find. So you'll definitely want to start on, that research and finding that opportunity sooner than later. Okay. All right. I think we fully answered this question. I don't think there was anything else I was going to throw out there on that one. Okay, let's just go back to our slideshow and keep going. Okay. All right. Oh my gosh. Okay. So basically, I was kind of answering the next question. It was like I knew it was coming up. Okay. Generally speaking, when might ads for winter 2023, 2024 begin to appear? We're seeing a little bit of that now. I did take a look at our ad listings, and less than 10% right now are advertising for October, November, December of 2023. As we move into the summer, though, that's going to transition. In the summer months, we'll see more immediate need positions for those summer employers who are needing more help, and then the employers advertising for that upcoming fall winter season. So like I said, 3 to 6 months ahead of your start date, guys, that's when you really want to start getting into the flow of finding your opportunity. You can always contact employers earlier than that too. I know there are some folks that already are getting 2024 completely lined up for themselves. It's just going to depend on the employer, whether they're willing to speak with you about a future season or not. Some employers have been burned by Workampers, not showing up, not keeping their commitment. So some might be a little leery to schedule, or hire Workampers, commit to Workampers that far out, but some are totally on board. There's one employer right now advertising on the hotline, and they're looking for people through 2027. So you never know what's going to come through. Okay, another question I threw on this slide, not really a question, really more a statement, but I just wanted to address it. Interested in finding a seasonal position in Puerto Rico? You're not going to find that in the Workamping realm. Workamping on any kind of island where it would be challenging to get an RV to, or very expensive to get your RV to, you're really just not going to see that in our community. So you'll have to look at other job finding resources for positions like that in Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Virgin Islands, those kinds of places. Not in the Workamping realm. Okay. When I'm looking at the daily email for job opportunities, so that's our daily hotline jobs email, you guys. Members of ours, whether you're a free intro member or you're a yearly gold, diamond, or platinum member, you can elect to receive the hotline jobs daily email. So each weekday we take the ads that came in, that we process, we compile them in an email and send them out to you. You don't even have to visit our website to look at the job listings. It's the full job listing. It's not truncated or anything. You have all the data right there. Like I said, we don't force you to go to the website to look at it. So Diamond and Platinum members, your daily email, you get the jobs that were posted that day. Our Gold level members, your hotline email contains ads that were posted 7 days ago, and free intro account holders on our website, you guys can get the hotline and the ads were posted 14 days ago. So obviously Diamond and Platinum members, you guys get to see the opportunities first. It's just the benefit of yearly membership. And our Diamond membership, you guys, it's $47 for a whole year. That's less than $4 a month. You could spend that going out to eat one night a week with, somebody special. So anyway, not a big investment. Okay, so this person is asking, can I sort the ads by state? Is there a link to see a map so I can see where the job is located within the state? So when you're looking at the hotline jobs email, the email that's built, it's a static email. It's not dynamic. So there's not searching and sorting of the ads because it's just an email. So no, you can't sort it in the email. Is there a link to a map so I can see where the job is located within the state? No, there's not at this time. So on the new website that we're building, because the thing is with Workamping jobs, you guys, and I know there are other websites out there that kind of have maps that kind of work and kind of don't, but there's such a variety of employers. So there's employers with a specific street, city, state address, and that's great, and that's easy. But then there's opportunities, there's some employers where they operate in 15 different states because they're a concessionaire of campgrounds. So they may have like 6 campgrounds in Oregon and 4 in Washington and 3 in Idaho and 2 in Nevada, etc. So that one employer is going to have, 87 different locations. And then there are employers where you're moving around, like Southern Cross, they hire Workampers to like walk and inspect gas lines. Sorry, like that's not a specific location. That's you're moving around type of job. doing the sales job that we talked about with AGS and Salvage Publications, you're moving around to do the different jobs. So it's hard to be like, to give a map and say, here's all the work camping jobs, because there are so many jobs kind of with these other factors to it. So on our new website, we are handling that. If the employer does have a specific city, state location, when you're looking at the job listing, there will be a map showing you either the city, state, or the street address if they provided one. If it's a job that requires travel, it'll say so. If it's a remote job, it'll say so. If it's a job in 17 different states, it's just going to show you the 17 different states the job is in, etc. So that is coming later this year. We don't have that implemented yet, but it is on the way. So just understand, if you do come upon some map thing on the website that has job listings, understand it might be a little wonky. Like Express Employment Professionals is located in North Dakota or South, one of the Dakotas anyway. No, Grand Forks, anyway. They hire for multiple, like the sugar beet harvest takes place in 4 different things. So you look at Express and it's in 1 state, but technically their jobs are in 6. Okay, you guys get it anyway. So the map thing gets a little complicated, but I showed you guys our Hotline Jobs website page. That's our dynamic page where you can enter in all that different search criteria to really narrow down those ads. The Hotline Jobs website page with all those search functions, that's only available to our Diamond and Platinum level members. So you want to make sure that you are that membership level so you have that dynamic capability. The Hotline Jobs email is just kind of an accessory. It's here's all the new ads that are available today. Check them out, look through them. If one does pique your interest, maybe you do hop onto the website, find that listing, get your resume together, send it to them, etc. Things like that. Okay, let's keep trucking along here. Whoops, too far. Okay, how do I start without experience? Let's focus on the skills and experience that you do have. Most Workamper employers understand and aren't looking for specific experience. Like we talked about, Workamping is doing any kind of work. So to say, well, I'm not an experienced Workamper, well, that's fine. What is your experience? Like, what skills do you have? Because Workamping, like we said, could mean a lot of different things. So you need to take a look, start going through all the different ads that you're seeing. Even if it's not like in a location that you're interested in or a business type that you're interested in, just start, going through the different ads. Look at what the employers are saying in their ad text. There will be some employers that are looking, oh, I want someone that has experience with this certain campground reservation software, or I'm looking for a manager, so I would like someone who's experienced in management. If you, were a manager at your whatever business you worked for before, just because you haven't managed a campground doesn't mean you couldn't manage a campground. You have that management experience. So first, just don't discount what you've done in your past, and don't let, oh, I've never worked camp before. Don't make that just don't discount yourself, and don't get that in your brain and make it a hurdle that you feel like you have to overcome. So when you're communicating with the employers, whether it's, via your resume, emails, phone calls, like a webcam call or whatever, move forward with the attitude of, I want to try this. I'm here to learn. I'm going to do the best I can. And, I want to do this, and I'm excited to do this, and I'm capable. Don't oversell yourself. If there are things you can't do, like if you physically can't be on your feet all day, or you can't lift stuff up, or you're really scared to work with pool chemicals, or, you never want to clean a toilet ever, don't say you'll do things that you won't do, or say you can do things that you can't do. But, don't sell yourself short at the same time. So think about what you've done, whether it was career work before, home life before. You likely have skills that are going to apply to these jobs. Often you'll see these aren't like rocket science types of jobs, working at an amusement park, you're going to help kids sit on a ride, make sure they're strapped in, push a couple buttons, and the ride's going to go. Most folks can flip a hamburger, package it up, and, hitting some buttons on a cash register to sell somebody some toilet paper in a campground store. you can probably, manage your way around that for the most part. So not a lot of like heavily skilled positions. You may find some where they're, seeking, like I said, electrical, plumbing, sometimes stuff like that. Anyway, if you have owned your own home, maybe you took care of your property, you did some light electrical and plumbing at your house, you painted, you did landscaping and mowed and stuff like that. You have those skills. Maybe you were a treasurer of such and such club or church group or local city, whatever group. Maybe you have some money handling skills. You were a bank teller. You're organized. You have customer service skills. If you were a stay-at-home mom, you're very organized. You can, keep things flowing and going. You can multitask. So anyway, don't discount yourself. Think about your life as a whole and what skills you do have. When employers are looking at resumes, and we'll talk a little bit more about resumes, we'll talk more about it then. I don't want to get too deep into it now. So yeah, focus on the skills that you do have. Focus on the experiences that you do have. Communicate with a positive attitude and a willingness to jump in and learn. If an employer is poo-pooey about your past experience or whatever, that's not the opportunity for you, and just move on to the next. So, okay. Oh, good. Let's talk about resumes. I told you guys I grouped these accordingly, right? Okay. All right, how do I create the best resume to promote interest? What should I do for my resume so that I stand out from the crowd and get the right jobs? So, okay. When an employer is going through and looking at resumes, typically they are trying to answer the question, what's in it for me? So they pull up so-and-so's resume, and it's not, they don't care so much about, oh, I was blah, 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 and I did all of this, and I, think RVing is great, and I've always wanted to do it, and, what skills do you have? Can you do the job that I'm trying to hire for? And do you, communicate pretty clearly? So with your resume, you want to focus on those skills and what you bring to the table and how you solve problems for the employer. So kind of more specifically, when you are putting your resume together, you want to try to use keywords from the ads that you guys are seeing. So if you are like looking for specific positions, try to use the words maintenance, groundskeeper. Rarely do employers say landscaping. It's pretty much always groundskeeping. So it's just kind of some little vernacular things like that. Camp host is a popular term used by employers. Office, help, so look at different terms and try to use those keywords from ads in, the text of your resume, because when they're doing keyword searches, then you're more likely to pull up on that. Try to use action words. So like, successfully operated cash register, managed guests' expectations. That sounds more exciting than customer service. It's a little more descriptive and a little more like the employer can visualize you doing the things. So try to be a little more kind of action wordy. And okay, I'm going to go ahead and move into my browser so we can talk about a few more resources for you guys to kind of help you with answering this question. So on our website, if I can get my mouse in the right vicinity, where'd you go? Okay. So we have an article index that's available to our members when you are logged in. We have some great articles in here that I would recommend you guys check out in the job finding tools category. We have multiple different articles about resumes, so definitely go through and read those. That's going to give you some more ideas of like the content to put in there. And then once you're, feeling kind of good about that, then you want to come in. This is our resume builder. Most employers want a resume. Not every employer is going to require you guys to have a resume, but a lot of them are going to ask for it. So you're welcome to use our resume builder as a member. We do have employer members. They never advertise their jobs. All they do is come into our resume database. and do some searches, contact Workampers, and that's how they find all their Workampers. So if you are someone who's like, I want to be open to the most opportunities possible, then you need to be looking at job listings and have your resume created and keep it updated. If you haven't updated your resume in the last 6 months, it's not going to be in our database. So keep it active and update often. Once you accept a position for whatever time frame, come into your resume and update it for the next time period that you're available. So you can keep your resume working for you all year round. That's why we have a yearly membership. It's not like, use it till you find a job or whatever. Like, keep this going. You can keep it going all year round. Keep your Workamper dance card filled, as I like to say. Anyway, so with our resume builder here, we take you guys kind of step by step. You just have to fill in the fields, check some boxes. And so this is going to generate a resume geared towards Workamping. It kind of takes a lot of the guesswork out for y'all. Locations, work history. In the work history, whether you're using our resume builder or another, you can put in all of your past work history. It just depends. So kind of back to our initial question of like, how do I have a resume that stands out? One resume that stands out is one that doesn't overwhelm the employer. So I've seen some where you come into the work history and they've listed every single job they've had since they were like 14, and like every section is like this long where they talked about what they did, and it's just like, that's too much. Like, the employer doesn't have that much time. They're not going to read through all of that probably. They're going to be like, oh, this person's a lot, and they might just move on and not read any of it. It's just going to depend. So just be cautious about, try to be concise, get across what your skills are, but don't bury them in information. So I would more so, like, as far as like work history and listing your past jobs, if the job especially has given you skills and experiences that relate to the types of Workamping jobs that you're interested in taking, then definitely include that in your work history. But most often employers don't need to know every job you've had, all of your education, every award you've received since you were 18, that kind of stuff. Like, you might mention it again if it comes into play. If you were part of a Rotary Club and you received a reward for community service or something, or some kind of like a special certification that I'm certified in this certain specific activity, and that's the type of work you want to be doing, then obviously include that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you have past Workamping jobs, certainly include those in your work history. As far as kind of pre-Workamping jobs, just be a little more pick and choosy about that. They don't need your full timeline, and just don't bury them. Also, if y'all are a two-person team, family, couple, whatever, traveling together, both of you guys can be on the same resume, whether you're using our resume or making one of your own. If there are two of you, or maybe three, maybe you got a teenager or some kids or something traveling with you, you can put all of your data on one resume to send to that employer. As long as you both are applying to work for that position, then combining both of you guys together is usually totally fine. Okay, so the Sell Yourself section in our builder is where you can be a little more creative. In here, you can type in, all kinds of stuff that you want. We do have a sample here. You can click on View Sample to give you an idea of what to model off of. So just thinking about the look of your resume specifically, again, like I said, we don't want to bury them in text. So let's break up your text into some different sections, make sure we have paragraphs. If you can do some bulleted lists like you see here, this is much easier to read than just, one chunk of text, okay? So this is a good one to kind of model off of and to get an idea of what to put in here. But this is your resume, guys, to do your own. I saw something the other day that I've never seen before. These Workampers, they travel with multiple dogs, and the dogs are like, AKC certified something or other. They had in their resume reference letters for the dogs, not themselves, for the dogs. So that was very interesting to me. I thought, well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they ran into a lot of employers that were concerned about the types of dogs that they had. Like, I think it was just labs and I don't know. Anyway, that was very interesting. They were making their resume their own reference letters for their dogs. Okay. Anyway, once you put your resume together, send it to some of your friends and family and have them proofread it and take a look at it. You want to do your best to not have typos and misspellings and weird sentences and, you know, fix up all those little things as best as you can. Again, we're just trying to communicate as clearly as possible. And your friends or family may know things about you like, hey, why didn't you mention XYZ? Or I know that you're really good at blah, blah, blah. Why didn't you put that in your resume? You might go, oh, well, I never even really thought, you know, that was important or whatever. So get some other perspectives, some friendly perspectives on your resume after you guys put it together. So, all right, so work your way through your sell yourself section. You can put photos on your resume if you want to. You don't have to. It's not illegal for employers to ask. If you don't provide photos, the employer may request to do like a FaceTime online webcam interview with you, or may require you to come in person to interview if you don't want to include photos. So you can put photos here on your resume if you want. You can also record a little intro video, put it on your YouTube channel, and then embed it here on your resume if you want. So with our builder, we take all of that data and compile it into this nice looking resume format for you. So this is how employers would see the resume. So they can click and look at your photos a little bigger. That one didn't load for some reason. Anyway, look at this cute dog. Okay, I don't know why that's happening. Sorry about that. Okay, here's my little intro video that I recorded. Here's my sell yourself section. And then here's all of the data that I entered in those other sections of the resume builder, guys. So once you go through the builder and create your resume, again, you can have it in the database for employers to find, or you can print your resume if you want to print a hard copy. Maybe you're going to an RV show to talk to some employers, or, you know, if you're traveling around and you do stay like at a campground or are somewhere where you're like, you know, we'd really like to spend more time here. Maybe we could get a work camping gig. Let's see if the local someplace hires people, or maybe this campground hires work campers. Let's go talk to them and see, maybe we can come back in a year or two and work camp here. You know, you may want to have just a couple printed versions of your resume kind of kicking around that you could hand out to folks. You can email your resume to anyone from the builder here. Just put in an employer name, whether it's the company name or a specific person's name. Put in the email address that you want to send it to and a brief message. Our system tracks every time you send your resume. So you can come in here and be like, oh, okay, I guess it has, well, it's been about a week since I sent that resume. I think I'm going to go ahead and follow up. I haven't heard back from that employer yet. And that's something that you guys can also do to kind of help yourself stand out, is the follow-up process. So you want to follow the instructions that an employer provides in an ad. Some employers may provide specific instructions. Some are going to be like a little more vague, but anyway, if they say, you know, email your resume, then that should be your first step. If they do include a phone number, then maybe wait a little bit and give a call. Hey, just wanted to see if you received my emailed resume. I sent it on this date. Very interested in speaking with you about your opportunities. You know, please get back to me at your convenience. If the position is more of an immediate start, like maybe in the next month or like an ASAP job, I would just maybe wait 1 or 2 business days at the most before following up. If you're applying for an opportunity that starts maybe 3 months from now, 6 months from now, etc., you might give them a little more grace time, maybe a few weeks before you're following up and inquiring to see if they received your inquiry. And again, just try to approach it with some coolness. Don't be the one, I entered my application, why haven't you guys gotten back to me? You know, like if that's the voicemail the employer's listening to versus hearing the voicemail that says, hey, this is Luke and Jody Duquette, and we're really interested in Work Camping with you guys in summer 2023. And we did send our resume the other day. I understand if you haven't had time to look at it yet, but we're super interested and excited and looking forward to talking with you. So feel free to reach out to me anytime, blah, 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 blah. Who's the employer going to want to call back first? Like grumpy face, or like someone who's kind of like, hey, I understand you're busy, but I really want to talk to you kind of thing. So other things you can do is, you could find them on social media, try to connect with them on social media, learning, a little bit more about them as you're communicating with them. So maybe with one of your follow-up inquiries, it's like, oh, I see that you, posted the other day about, getting your office put together and remodeled for the next season. How's that going? I'm interested in helping you with that or whatever. Anyway, so kind of engaging in what they're doing, if they are posting and doing stuff on social media. Sometimes, oftentimes they don't do a lot of that. You could also like really go old school and like mail them a letter or a card or something like that. So, that can help you stand out, just trying to kind of touch base in multiple ways. The thing you don't want to do, like if the ad says no calls, please don't call them. Stuff like that, kind of straightforward. But anyway, so those are some other ways that you can stand out. Also, if you guys get like recommendation letters from, prior employers, or maybe even fellow coworkers that you worked with in the past, that's something you could use in a follow-up. So like you first send out your resume like as an introduction, and then in your follow-up, like, hey, I hope you received our resume, but I just, wanted to further express our interest in your opportunities, and also just to learn a little bit more about us. Here's what a few former employers or a few former coworkers have said about us, and kind of put those letters either attached to the email or in the body text of your email. And send that on the way. So again, you're just trying to help that employer get to know you in an easy way. So, all right, hopefully that helps a little bit. Again, I would dive into our article index. We also have the media library. That is an area with a bunch of videos in it. And we have a couple on resumes, making a first impression, etc. So dig into those videos as well. That's available to our members. Okay. We better get back to our questions, guys, because I think we're only maybe like halfway. Woo, and we're at an hour. Oh, so much to tell you. Okay. Oh, how do I get my Workamper resume to an email? Hey, we showed you that. Oh, I forgot to tell you about exporting to PDF, but hopefully you guys saw that. It was on my screen. So in the resume builder tool, there's those buttons there on the right side of the home tab. You can print your resume, you can email your resume, and you can export it to a PDF file. So if you're doing an online application and in the application it says, hey, you can upload a resume, then you'll have that PDF file to put in that application process. Or you can make your resume into a PDF file. You can then send an email from your personal email account. Hey, employer, I'm interested in your job. Attached is my resume. So there's kind of two different ways that you can email your resume to an employer. Okay, next up here. And we have a live attendee. Of course, you're all live. An attendee who is listening live that has a similar kind of question here. Okay, so specifics for van work camping. For example, what if one's van only has a cassette toilet? Is that acceptable or limiting? And just kind of in general, are there a lot of work camper employers that have restrictions, like a restriction of type of RV or vehicle, and how do you find that out? So you guys need to have whatever RV that's best for you. So if you don't have an RV yet, don't buy an RV, like don't go about it thinking I need to get a specific type of RV for work camping. Like you need to do you. Get what works for your budget, what you can handle physically, what you're comfortable driving, etc. And then find the opportunities that are a match and will work with you. So most employers do anticipate that you're coming in an RV. About 10 to 15% on average offer housing, and that housing might be dormitory, it might be a cabin, it might be a rental RV that's on site, it could be a house, an apartment. There's kind of a variety there. So there are some opportunities where you could get out of, or like if you're a tent camper or a van camper and you know, maybe want to live in some additional housing, there's opportunities there. And you can search for that on our hotline page like you saw. For the most part, employers are anticipating that you're coming in a means of living facility where you can handle all your human things. You can stay warm, safe, comfortable, cool in whatever weather elements take place. They don't want you to be suffering in any way. You know, you need to be able to cook and clean up after yourself, to, you know, store food safely for yourself. And then of course, like, you know, bathing and bathroom and stuff like that. A lot of employers, especially if you're looking at the campground realm, a lot of those places have things like bathhouses, laundry facilities, etc. on site. Some will even have like a building, or maybe it's still a shared common space, but it's like a community kitchen, whether it be just for the work campers or for, you know, the other guests at the location. So there might be community laundry facilities, like a refrigerator you can share, whatever. There's a little bit of opportunity for that. But some places won't have those kinds of facilities. Like even working for like Delaware North, they're one of the concessionaires in Yellowstone. So they lease the RV sites from the National Park Service to offer to their employees for a small fee. And some of their camping areas have the, you know, bathhouse facilities and stuff like that, and some of them don't. So yes, you could still work for Delaware North, but only at some of their locations, you know? So some employers, it's going to be a hard no. Some employers, it's going to be a, yeah, we can, but it'll have to be specific locations. And some are going to be like, yeah, it doesn't matter, absolutely no problem. So again, it just comes back to, it's going to vary. You'll have to communicate with the employer to know specifically, you know, what their rules and regulations are. If you are looking at an employer, again, maybe looking outside of the kind of commercial campground realm, because when work campers go to work for a commercial campground, typically your RV sites are going to be, you know, on the campground premises, guests are going to see it, etc. So those types of entities might have like age restriction or RV type restriction, etc., because essentially the work camper's RV is on display. So you may not be able to put out your fencing. It may not be okay that you have 3 cars, or, you know, you might have to have a motorhome versus a trailer, or, you know, vans, you know, we're not going to accept tent campers, or whatever the thing may be. So looking outside of commercial campgrounds, there might be more flexibility. And there are some employers that don't provide an RV site at all. Like, here's the job, we're going to pay you for every hour worked, and then you find your own accommodations. And in that regard, it's totally up to you, and you can go stay wherever you want to stay. It doesn't matter what you're living in. Okay, so there are going to be some, you know, some times where it's not going to work out for you, but then you just know that's not the right opportunity for you. So it's time to just keep looking and keep searching. Okay. All right, let's talk about compensation. So with work camping, there's a wide variety of opportunities. So there's a wide variety of compensation types. So you may be working just in trade for an RV site and other perks. You might work X number of hours per week in trade for your RV site, and then any hours worked over that might be paid a certain dollar amount. You might be paid for all hours worked and your RV site is provided and other perks, etc. You might be paid for all hours worked, but you pay a small fee for your RV site because you're staying on site. There are other opportunities where you are earning commissions, and that's the income that you get from that job. Some places offer bonuses, whether it be a travel bonus to help you get there, or hey, you completed your whole season, so we're going to give you a bonus because you stuck through it the whole way. Some bonuses might be based on sales. There are tipped positions as well. There are some salaried positions where you're getting a salary, the 401k, paid time off, etc. There's certainly less of those, but there's a few that are out there. So that's kind of the range of different compensation types that are out there. So how are most Workampers paid? That's going to vary. It's going to vary. So yes, there are positions where you're working as an independent contractor and you would receive a 1099. There are some employers who maybe would pay you cash under the table. That's not advertised, of course. That would have to be determined in a conversation. There are most Workamping positions are going to fall under that W-2 employee realm. And it's important to understand the difference between an independent contractor and a employee. And I would encourage you guys to visit the FAQ page on our website. It's open to any visitor of our site. Just go to workamper.com, and in the top right, there's FAQ, and read through the Workamper FAQs. We answer a lot of these questions in there, talking about 1099 versus W-2. Most positions, you're going to be a W-2 employee. They're requiring you to work on a certain schedule. They're telling you how to do things. They're providing you the materials to do the job. They're telling you what to wear, that kind of stuff. If you're working in trade for an RV site, whether or not the value of that RV site will be considered income to you is going to depend on the employer and the state location. So that's a question that you need to ask to employers when you're communicating with them. Because every employer is going to do it differently. Some employers don't do it right. Some employers, whether they're doing it to try to be sneaky about it or because they just don't know and they don't have the right accountant people to tell them how to do it the right way. There are a lot of employers who do it the right way because they're following their business owners and they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So again, this is something you're just going to have to ask the employer when you're communicating with them about the position. If you are receiving compensation, how am I being handled? Will I be a W-2 employee? Is this an independent contracting position? If I'm receiving non-monetary perks like an RV site, will that be considered income to me or not? These are all questions that you need to ask them ahead of time. And then kind of a related question here, when working in an income tax state, does all income made for the year included or just the pay earned in that state? I receive a pension and Anyway, these are questions for an accountant. I am not an accountant, sorry, nor an attorney. Everybody's, money situation is different. Again, there are some FAQs. Typically, if you are working in another state and you're earning income in that state, you would file a tax return for the income that you earned in that state. And oftentimes it's not enough income. You usually do the out of, non-resident tax return. And oftentimes you'll get a refund or you don't really have any tax due anyway. That's what Workampers have told me in the past. Anyway, so please communicate with your accountant when working on the income tax questions, okay? And then for folks who are, you're on Social Security or maybe disability, etc., and you have limitations where, oh, I can only earn so much money, or oh, I can only, work so many hours. So again, that just comes back to asking a lot of questions with that employer ahead of time to totally understand the details of that opportunity. So you're going to know, oh, I'm going to end up earning too much income, or oh, the RV site is counted as income, so I got to make sure to factor that in too, those kinds of things. So just be sure to be communicating with those employers ahead of time before taking the job. Okay, so this person says, can I work camp and still make enough to pay debts? I don't know. I don't know what your debts are. I don't know what kind of work camping jobs you want to do. Maybe, maybe not. It kind of depends. There are a lot of work campers who say, you shouldn't become a full-time RVer or a work camper until you're debt free. And there are others who are like, look, I want to live this lifestyle. I got to make a change in my life. I'm going to do this. And they do it and they figure it out and they make it work. Even if you're not taking quote unquote work camping jobs, there are so many jobs available, especially nowadays. With these last few years, there are more jobs than there are workers. So you just, you got to work at it. Finding the right job for you takes effort and takes work. You can't just go onto a Facebook page and say, I'm looking for a job, and somebody's just going to hand you the golden ticket and say, this is the perfect job for you. It pays exactly what you want and does everything you want it. It's everything you want it to be. You know, that's like needle in a very large haystack. You know, get your resume together, keep it updated, be looking at job listings, be communicating with those employers, ask a lot of questions, research those employers ahead of time. You don't want to end up in a situation that's not going to be right for you. It's not fun to travel hundreds of miles and have the rug pulled out from under you, or a negative situation that could have been avoided had you just, you know, asked enough questions ahead of time. So can you make enough to pay your debts? It all depends, you know. Did you buy a $400,000 RV that you got to make payments on in addition to insurance and cell phone? And are you paying child support too? And do you have a house that you're paying for as well? You're just a part-time RVer? Like, you really can't specifically answer this question. So when you are looking at embarking on this lifestyle, you guys got to look at like your budget, like, and what do you need to cover your bases? And then you need to find the jobs that well cover those bases. When communicating with employers that say you will work X number of hours a week in trade for your RV site, and then extra hours will be paid, blah, 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 make sure to ask, you know, will I be guaranteed a certain number of hours? If you're someone who's like, I need to make some income as well, then you need to find out if those hours are guaranteed. Because it could be that, you know, there might be extra hours a couple busy weekends of the summer, but then there's not extra hours the rest of the time. And then you're like, oh crap, I'm not working any hours for money here. I'm only working for my site. So again, asking a lot of questions, getting clarification on those jobs. So then that way, you know, okay, this job is paying me X. That's going to work in my budget, or it's not going to work in my budget. Okay. You got this. Okay. How do Workampers initially set up their domicile state? Where do most Workampers domicile? So you will need a domicile state if you are going to become a full-time RVer and you're not going to have a home base anymore. A home base is like a physical structure that you go back to, you know, that's going to be your address, where you get your mail, the area where you vote, etc. So you have a home base if you're a part-time RVer, and you have a domicile if you're a full-time RVer. You don't have like a sticks and bricks place that you go back to. That's kind of a simple description of the difference there. So oftentimes RVers will select states that are no income tax states, you know, so that way it's one less state that they're having to pay income tax in. I think there's 13 different states that have the no income tax thing. So yes, a lot of RVers will pick that. Texas, Florida, South Dakota, very popular states for that. This is one resource here that I pulled up on the screen, loringlaw.com. This is Sean and Susie. They are attorneys, and they have been working with RVers for a long, long, long time. And so they're very, very familiar with this whole domicile residence business. So if you would like to communicate with someone who knows all the things, I would definitely reach out to Loring Law and get connected with them, because they're going to help you make sure you're, you know, hitting all the factors for, you know, setting up your domicile and making sure that it's good to go. So there's no, you know, question marks by governmental entities or whatnot. So you can communicate with them to get more information and to kind of assist you with picking what's going to be best for you. You know, your health insurance, your health care may also factor into that too. There are mail forwarding services that do even more than just mail forwarding. So mail forwarding services like receive your mail, and then they either scan it, you can look at it online, and you can say send it to me or trash it. But they also often now have other services to help you with establishing your residency in their state. So you use their address as your physical address that goes on your driver's license for registering your cars, registering to vote, you know, different things like that. So Your Best Address is a great service that's in South Dakota. If you want to be a South Dakota. One that's in Florida, fastforwardremail.com. And they, right on their homepage, they've got information on residency versus domicile. And so working with these services, they'll either give you the information that helps walk you through it, or they will assist you with walking through it and, getting all those things set up. So South Dakota, Texas, and Florida, those are going to be the states that have, the most popular mail forwarding services. There's likely mail forwarding services in other states. You'll just have to do like a Google search to see. These are just the ones that we see most often communicated about in the community. All right. Okay, so next up, how do Workampers handle non-Medicare health insurance? And this other couple needs to know where most younger people get health insurance while we're camping. And I'm sorry. I switched my PowerPoint. I'm just reading away and you guys are like, hey, we're still looking at South Dakota. Okay, sorry about that. All right, how do Workampers handle non-Medicare health insurance? Okay, so I'm gonna switch right back to the internet browser, because again, I don't sell health insurance, so I am not the best person, and everybody's going to be different, you guys. So everybody has different needs as far as what their healthcare is about. Some folks will need a stronger, heftier plan, and other folks maybe just need something lighter. I would recommend nomadinsuranceGroup.com. This is Kyle. He's been in the RVing realm for quite a while, helped a lot of RVers. He's an RVer himself, so he's the one who can best connect you with what type of plan there is. If we just kind of mouse over health plans, this new option, Healthy Nomads, that he has on here, so that's it's like one of those cost sharing kind of membership organizations. And there are multiple ones that are out there. The cost sharing thing where you pay so much in, and then when you have medical expenses, you submit the expenses to the group, and then like the membership organization as a whole agrees to pay like so much of it or whatever. So those options are out there. There's like normal health plans themselves. If you're self-employed, there's going to be different things. Telemedicine is bigger than ever before. So Kyle is going to best know all of the different options, and so he can work with you to be like, okay, what are your needs and what's your budget and what's your whatever, to be able to then say, well, these are maybe going to be the best options for you. So this is really the main website that I am aware of. I haven't seen a lot of other chatter about any other resources for our RVers with getting insurance, health insurance. So definitely check in there. Unfortunately, I don't have any personal experience to relay to you. My husband and I are crazy kids that just don't have health insurance because we're, crazy. We just believe in, taking care of ourselves and trying to be healthy. So may get us in the long run, but it's been okay so far. Knock on wood. Okay. All right, guys. So hopefully you can get that health insurance thing sorted out. I know that it can be one of those scary factors when, jumping off and becoming full-time RVers, because a lot of times the health insurance stuff is very, state focused. And so finding a plan that's going to cover you in more than one location is going to be important. Okay, next up here, wasn't really sure on this one. What is the main reason for choosing a campground? Is that like as a camper and I'm going to go stay and recreate, or am I choosing a campground to work camp at? Either way, that's really subjective. Some people will choose a campground because of the location that it's in, or the way the sites are set up, or because it's by a river or by a lake or by a mountain or in the desert, or because of the price. As far as where camping goes, you may pick an employer because they pay you what you want to be paid, or you've always wanted to work for that kind of business, or you really like the owners, or it's near to where your grandkids are, or your best friend is. That's really subjective. So sorry, I don't have a better answer there. Okay, a couple other not more random questions here. Is KOA state ran? So I believe this person is asking about KOA campgrounds. And so some KOA campgrounds are like operated by corporate and some are ran individually. So you'll just have to inquire with each KOA to see which one they are. I don't know if there are pros and cons either way. Another question, when working for California State Parks, do they test for marijuana? I don't know. I have not worked for them. You'll need to communicate with the employer to get specific questions answered like that one. Okay, next up, do you think people on site will help me learn to RV? To a certain extent, yes. That's one cool thing about the RV and work camping community is generally we're a friendly bunch. And so, you know, if you're outside futzing around and looking real frustrated about your RV long enough, somebody's going to come around and say, hey, do you need help with something? Yeah, I wouldn't completely rely on other people for your education. I think there are certainly a lot of resources that you can connect with to take on, you know, the onus of that education yourself. There are, you know, live courses you can go to out there. There, you know, are online courses on the internet. We have a little bit of content as far as, you know, picking an RV and, you know, getting started in the RV lifestyle. We have some videos and articles on that, certainly in our, you know, media library, article index, our online magazine, etc. But if you're like, you know, how do my jacks work, or you know, how do I operate my refrigerator to the, you know, keep the temperature normal, and how do I drive my RV? Like there's RV driving schools out there that you can have the person come and teach you how to drive your RV, etc. So I would certainly spend some time on the internet surfing around. There are a lot of RV groups. FMCA, Family Motor Coach Association, they have a lot of educational elements on their website and like in-person events and stuff that they do. So that's a good one. And there's lots of smaller groups as well, just kind of communities within the RV community, you know, for like solo RVers, especially van dwellers have usually their own kind of community. So there's definitely some other kind of clubs that you can connect with, whether online or in person as well. Rvillage.com, that's like a social media website specifically for RVers. You might get on there and put in your location and then see what other RVers are around you. And then you could reach out to those RVers too and connect with them in that rvillage.com platform. Oh, and another person says, go online, especially on Facebook, and look up the brand of your RV. Oftentimes there will be groups or communities for the specific type of RV that you acquired. That is a good one. Okay, this is the last question, you guys. I've been away for 2 to 3 months at a time, traveling, working, volunteering, but I'm struggling with taking the biggest step, leaving my sticks and bricks home behind. Any encouragement or help with the decision to go full-time into RVing? That's really a choice that you have to make. You know yourself. I think that, especially with social media and stuff, there are a lot of glamorizations of the RV van life on, you know, social media, Instagram, whatever. But there are a lot of people, you know, doing YouTube videos and blogs and stuff that are like, it's not all rainbows and puppy dogs and happy times, you know. Buying an RV and owning and living in an RV is not always easy. There are going to be times where it's super, super frustrating. And there are other times where you're like, nothing's messed up in my RV for like months. Like it's been good. You're like, sweet, you know? So it just varies. It's kind of crazy. Like with our fifth wheel, like we had a Cedar Creek front living fifth wheel. Some Workamper friends of ours had the exact same year, exact same model, and theirs was a total lemon. And they had so much trouble with it. They were finally, they had like returned it or sold it or something. They couldn't take it anymore. And we struggled with some stuff. There were many days where my husband was like, I'm done. We're going back home. Forget this. And I'm like, this is just one day. Tomorrow will be better, you know, hopefully. And you just kind of, you got to smooth through it. So I guess I don't want folks to jump into this RV lifestyle because they think it's magically going to make everything better in their lives. Making a positive change in your life begins up here. It's not necessarily what you're living in or where you're at that's going to make you happy. It's got to be in here first. So make sure you're making this transition for the right reason and have realistic expectations, okay? It is a wonderful lifestyle, I think. There are others who do not think that, and work camping was not right for them, and RVing was not right for them, and that's okay. It's not going to be for everybody. So as far as encouragement goes, just educate yourself as much as possible. Watch as many videos as you can, read as many articles as you can, communicate with others who are living this lifestyle. So you're hearing a lot of different perspectives. With the internet now, it's so easy to find so much content. And, you know, just be a little bit cautious too about some of the content that you're reading. Some, you know, website articles and things are just put online so the pop-up ads are showing up, and so you'll go purchase the affiliate, whatever. So you can kind of determine the genuineness of the author, you know, by looking at someone's website or watching a few of their videos, etc. Hopefully you guys have felt, you know, some genuineness from me, from us here at Workamper News. We're obviously not out to try to mislead anybody and give you guys as much education as possible. Oh, if you go onto YouTube, look up Steve Turtle. He is a work camper who is making some good videos about RVing and work camping. That's one I would definitely look at. He and his wife seem like a good couple to learn from. And definitely listen to our podcast. Again, Workamper Show. You can go to workampershow.com or search for Workamper Show in your favorite podcast streaming app. Like I said, a lot of our interviews are with people who are RVing and work camping. So you're going to hear their stories, you know, getting started, why they picked RVing, that they did, and stuff like that. So, you know, another person who's online says, if you've already been doing it 2 to 3 months at a time, how do you feel during that time? He says, we started the same way and just asked ourselves, you know, could we do this full time? And that's a great, you know, when you're in that moment, when you're in your RV for that length of time, you know, is the smaller space like bugging you to a point that you need to get out, you know, or can you handle that comfortable space for that period of time? And, you know, you can figure out how to stair step it. You know, it's not like you have to just, well, sometimes you jump right in. Like we've had folks, you know, they got laid off during COVID or whatever and got pushed into this lifestyle quicker than they thought. So, I mean, that definitely happens. So it can go kind of quickly, but, you know, you could put some of your stuff in storage and then just see, you know, and commit like for a period of time. Like, okay, I'm going to put this stuff in storage. I'm okay. I'm getting rid of the house, but this is the stuff I want to keep. I'm going to put it in storage. And a year from now, if I've had no inclination to get that stuff, you know, then I'm going to let it go, or like whatever time frame, you know, you need it to be, or just keep the storage always. Like that's cool too, you know. So it's not like you have to get rid of everything and, you know, just go live in a van. Like maybe get a trailer that goes behind your RV to bring more of your stuff with you if that's, you know, what's going to make you happier, etc. You know, try to do it your way. You can get perspectives from lots of others who are living this lifestyle, but ultimately you want to do this in your way. So, all right, hopefully that's a little bit of help there. But yeah, full-time RVing can be great. And it's not necessarily something you have to do forever. You know, if you go out full-time RVing and you're like, oh, I'm really not liking this, then, you know, go back to whatever location you do want to be in, and maybe, you know, just find a rental house or apartment or something to get out of your RV for a while. If you don't want to, you know, buy and commit to a house, you know, in a certain location. So we are blessed to live in a country that currently, you know, gives us those kinds of flexibilities, and we often have, you know, those kinds of options available to us. Not always everywhere, but in a lot of places. So Anyway, yeah, if full time is right for you, we hope that you jump in and enjoy it as much as many others have. Okay. All right, you guys, that is all the questions. All right, so I think we got through everybody, and we're about an hour and a half. That's pretty typical for me. All right, so if you haven't yet, we hope to join and become a member of workamper.com. We have lots of other great videos going even more in depth on, finding a job, resumes, interviewing, etc. So dive into those resources that are available to you. Definitely look through the different job listings that are out there, whether you're thinking about this for the future or getting started soon or already work camping. Open yourselves up to even more opportunities by becoming a member. So hop over to workamper.com and join today and get going. Feel free to contact us, guys, with questions. Our phone number and our emails on our website. We're happy to help you guys as much as we can. So thanks to everyone for listening, and we hope to see you on the next webinar next month. Happy work camping, everybody.